Hey everyone, it's Jason. Welcome to another Dungeonology expansion. This is Leonardo's Workshop, based off of Leonardo da Vinci with the Mona Lisa mech here. This is a big box expansion. There's a lot more little bit more content, but a lot more stuff going on than some of the other ones we've reviewed. Yeah, so a bunch of extra stuff in here is really cool. We're going to just do a quick overview of the components and we'll start hopping into some of the stuff that's in there. So we are going to get a brand new scholar to play as, Tanya Craig the Architect. We'll look at all these more in a little bit depth. We will get some new bosses. We actually get several. We get a couple different Leonardos and some Mecha Lisas. Just some more alternate things to do. With that, we are also going to get some more clan cards of various Leonardo da Vinci cards. So different things that he's done throughout his lifetime. We'll, of course, get our miniatures to go with those guys. And there's the big Mecha Lisa. We'll also have some extra little auto character we'll get to play as, which is really cool. Which has some extra little Crabbot tokens. There are 6 of these, I believe. I only brought 2 out. We'll get to what those do. We have brand new panic cards. So one that can be used for anything, and then ones that are for special modes of the game. We have a brand new trick deck, the mechanical, which does have stuff that kind of works with this mode as well. And then you in turn. Oops, dropped a card. We have a couple new tokens used for this one of the modes in this game for the new board. And then finally we have new tiles. So we have a new level 3, level 2, level 1, and some special tiles for one of the modes in this game. There's a brand new mode to play as. So a lot of new content in here. A lot of it's falls in the genre of more of the same stuff. Like if you wanted more bosses. You want another deck to play, trick deck, another trick deck. But it does add some new twists and turns in there, which are very interesting. Some of the stuff is compatible with the base game, or you can mix and match it with other expansions, such as you can add some of the bosses and anything, or the trick deck anytime. Some of the stuff it's the new mode called the Workshop mode, and it only works with that mode, and that mode can't be mixed and matched with other stuff. At least not easily. It's not meant to be. So yeah, we're gonna hop into all of this. So let's just start off right away by looking at our new scholar, and then we'll look at our bosses quick. So we're gonna start with Craig. So this is the architect. He's a student that kind of worked under Leonardo da Vinci. So yeah, very cool. We got him. He's got a little. Looks like he has a big tooth, but it's actually just tongue sticking up like he's studying really hard. Alright, so what does Craig do for us? So he does a couple of things here. He says auto. You start the game with the auto card and the auto token placed in the same zone as you. So we had the auto card. We'll take a look at that in just a minute, as well as the token that was on the board for him. He has recovery. So sacrifice a student. If you're in the same zone as the auto token, displace the information cube from the auto card onto your noteboard. Come back to what that means in just a second. Genius. Action. Discard a mechanical or exploration trick card to collect your information cube from the zone you're in. If you are not forced to take the leftmost one, but the type of the cube you can collect depends on the bonus value of the card you discarded. So, cool. So if you discard a 1 card, you can only get a civilization or a militia. A 2 also gets you the workshop. A 3+ also gets you the riches. So none of them will get you a purple one. So yeah, very cool. He can discard cards to collect information cubes. This is not a bad thing. Exploration or mechanical. So if you're not using the mechanical set in this deck for some reason or with him, that's just the exploration, or it would also include fate cards. You can include those as well. They kind of mentioned that in one of the Kickstarter advanced instructions. Once, especially if you're using more than one set of trick cards, using 2 or more extra decks of trick cards from expansions, you can use the fate cards instead of the named ones. So I would assume you could use it if you're not including one of the other ones for some reason. So let's look at the auto card really quick before we flip him over. Well, let's say this bottom here. He have 2 students follow him. He has a speed of, if I remember all these right, I always forget which order these go in. I think the second one is speed. No, sorry, second one's hand size. He has a hand size of 4, a speed of 4 still. Still right there. But he has 2 intelligence, so he can gather 2 cubes at a time, and you can take up to 3 hits. Cool. Yeah, let's put more. Let's take the other side, then we'll come back to the auto part. Just a little candle hack. Smart recovery. In your end of turn phase, displace information cubes from the auto card to your noteboard. So displace is a new mechanic that we're going to look at in just a second. The final genius. Action. Discard up to 2 mechanical, subterfuge, or exploration trick cards to collect an equal number of information cubes from the zone where you or the auto token is located. You don't have to take the leftmost cubes, but the kind you can take depends on the bonus. So it just basically adds it so you can eventually get any of them. Plus, it also works with wherever auto is as well. So very fun when he's enlightened. So here's our auto card. It says if you're in a different zone than the starting zone, you can start your turn. If the auto token is in a different zone than yours, you can place the auto zone in the same zone as you. During your movement phase, you can spend part or all of your speed points to move the auto token to zones already placed without considering doors and zone effects. Can't place them in new zones, so he can't discover new areas for you. When you get a success in a studied action, you can choose to not to collect up to 2 cubes, instead displace an equal number of cubes, starting with the leftmost cube, from the zone where auto is located to this card. You can place a maximum of 2 information cubes on this card. So there's 2 spots for information cubes. So the idea is he can basically hold information cubes for you. And if we come back and look at his ability, he has recovery. If you're in the same zone as the auto token, displace the information cubes from the auto card to your note board. So you can spend them to recover them, and if you use the smart recovery, end your turn, displace information cubes from auto back to your zone. You don't have to sacrifice a student or be in the same zone. Why would you want to do that exactly? Because if they're not on your board, you can kind of use them as sort of ways just to like maybe get rid of them or get them off so other people can't have them. Maybe you're maxed out or something, you could store them away from people. Maybe you could keep them from stealing, because they can't steal from auto, but they can steal from you. Might be a different way to do that. But we do have the new terminology, which is displace. Okay, I'm trying. There we go. Displacing information cubes. This expansion adds a new way to interact with information cubes, displacing them. With an effective structure to displace an information cube, it must be taken from one location, such as a zone, notebook, or a card, and placed on another such location by an indicated effect. Cubes displaced from zones are taken from left to right. Cubes displaced to zones are placed in the free information slots from left to right in any order. If they're going from the noteboard, are chosen by the scholar unless otherwise noted. To the noteboard are placed in the appropriate column, but if it's full, they can't be displaced. Cards with all displaced contain their own rules for taking and displacing tokens. So just the idea is, it's basically just moving a token information cube from one thing to another, from the area to the noteboard or to auto from auto to the notebook. You just have to then place them left to right on the card, and then you can take them in orders. Yeah, so interesting. We have a neat thing to do there. Alright, up next we have for a boss, we have Leonardo da Vinci himself. So here's his little miniature here. There he is. He's got some treasure below him, but he's on a whirligig helicopter hat. And then right away, we also have the Mecha Lisa, which isn't probably like size accurate, like per character wise, but I don't think they wanted to include some huge giant huge giant miniature in there. But it's definitely cool. It's like little hatches in there, like the wooden wheels. But yeah, it's like if Leonardo, he could hang out inside that definitely. Like just as a little mobile device. It's not like a giant size Godzilla mecha. Alright, so we have a couple of Leonardos in here. We have Pilot Leonardo, sighting, appears in a zone where the boss zone effect was activated. Activation, move Leonardo 2 zones towards a randomized scholar. When he enters a zone containing an information cube, displace an information cube from the zone onto a hold card and place a crab bot in its place. So there is a special card here. Onto the hold card. So you have Mecha Lisa's hold. So there's a couple different areas on there you can place them, and then you're going to place one of these little crab bots instead on there. And they'll fit right into the tiles. So if I grab a tile here, yeah, so they'll just kind of sit right in one of the spots. They have the little square bottoms for that. And we'll kind of see what they do as we go through. Encounter. Each scholar encountered is not exalted, must displace the information cube from his noteboard to the hold card. So essentially he's going around, he's taking the information that's sitting around. Because what you're trying to find, the idea is when you're finding him, the clan cards in here are his different works of art, rather than like finding out about a creature. So he's basically stealing back his information before you can get it. Displace the information cube onto the hold card. Special, when all spaces on the hold card contain an information cube, flip this card over and replace Leonardo's model with that of the Mecha Lisa. So then he flips over and you have to fight the roaring Mecha Lisa, who has sacrificed the student when you enter his spot, and +2 for alert. Activation, Mecha Lisa moves towards a random scholar until she reaches it. Whenever she enters a zone with at least one empty information cube, she displaces the information cube from the hold card onto that zone. Encounter, each scholar encounter gets a stun token. Special, when all spaces of the hold card are empty, flip this card over and replace it with the Mecha Lisa that of Leonardo. So basically what he does is he goes around the board, he picks up all his information, and he puts it into the Mecha Lisa. And then once he's full, he runs around, stunning you, smacking you in the back of the head, trying to get rid of you and disrupt you from stealing his works. And then, as he's doing so, this machine slowly dropping the information back down until it kind of like gets disassembled, and then now you have to then rebuild it. He has to rebuild it back up. Yeah, it's very interesting. So if we take a look at that card here, it says when an information cube is displaced on this card, place in the free space highest to the left. When it becomes displaced, it is removed from the bottom of the right occupied space. Each group of information cube represents an equivalent zone in which to a zone in which a alert value is equal to that of the zone in which Mecha Lisa is located, modified by her presence. A scholar in the same zone as Mecha Lisa can choose to collect cubes from the zones after the scholar were inside them. So it means you can also steal stuff from them, just you're going to have a higher level of alert, based on each different zone. So the top one's easiest to steal, the bottom one's the hardest one to steal from. Cool. Alright, then we also have Researcher Leonardo. Sighting, it appears when the boss zone effect activation. Move Leonardo 2 zones in the direction of your zone containing information cubes. When he stops, move information cube on the note card and replace it. Move information cube on the note card and replace it with a crab bot. Okay, yeah, sorry. There's, he has Leonardo's notes. So he has an opposite side of the mecha hold. He has one for his notes. It's just kind of weird because your note card is also what you call your board. When Scholar collects a crab bot, he must choose one of these effects. Displace an information cube from the note card to your board. Discard a jinx, discard your trick cards. All your trick cards can draw new ones, so you have a new number equal to your hand limit side. Discard all your stun tokens. So, interesting. So he's going to be dropping these bots on here. And then if you find one, you kind of get a little bonus effect. Although discarding your hand may or may not be good. Just placing information cube from the note card from the noteboard. So yeah, if you eventually collect one, but they're always going to show up at the end. So yeah, here's this. Whenever information cube is displaced, it's placed in the free space furthest to the right and at the bottom. When it's displaced by this card instead, move one from the furthest to the left to the top. So I gotta start here and you're always going to take from up here. If an information cube is to be placed on this card, but there's no more, it goes to the reserve. Alright, then on the other side of him, we have Maestro Leonardo. Sighting appears in that. Boss zone activation, moves 3 zones without retracing your steps. If he stops, if possible, place a crab bot. All scholars encountered must put a trick card face down from their hand, if they have at least one. At least one scholar does this. All other scholars in play can decide to do the same. For the top trick card of the deck, and all the cards placed on the table. A scholar who have placed the card with the highest bonus value than the one drawn from the deck wins, otherwise they lose. Win, discard a jinx card, or take 2 students from the reserve. Lose, discard a random trick card from your hand, then reveal all trick cards are discarded. So okay, interesting. So when he encounters you, all scholars encountered must place a trick card face down from their hand. And then basically he's going to check the top of the deck. If his hand is higher than yours, you get rid of a jinx card or get 2 students from the reserve. Cool. If not, you have to discard a trick card, plus you lose that one that you had to place. You lose 2 trick cards out of it. What's neat is that only one person has to, and then everyone else can opt to do it as well. So very neat. So we have two different Leonardos there. We have a Leonardo with a Mecha Lisa, and then finally we have just Mecha Lisa by herself. We have jammed Mecha Lisa. When Mecha Lisa sighting zone activated works performed, move Mecha Lisa 1 zone to the nearest zone that contain information cubes, then randomize. For green, displace an information cube from the zone to the hold card. Displace 2 to the hold card. Displace an information cube from the hold card to the zone. In turn order, place in turn order a stop refreshing camera. In turn orders, a crab bot in each zone where a scholar is present. And a purple, displace all information cards from the zone to the holder. So this is all about a lot of very similar mechanics, but it's pulling stuff off the board and putting it back down. It's gonna mess with where information cubes are, so you can't kind of be like, okay, I know I can go here, go there, because they might be changing all the time. Very interesting. On the flip side, we have Explosive Mecha Lisa. You have to stop when you enter her spot. Sightings, she activates. Activation, move Mecha Lisa to a randomized scholar until she reaches it. Every time she enters the zone, she displaces an information cube from the zone to the hold and places a crab bot. Each scholar encounters, and those present in zones connected to the zone which she stops gets a stun token. So here she's just going to run around stealing cubes. And then she'll drop them off. So I don't think any of these are terribly extra challenging or extra difficult, but that's not really the intent of the bosses. They're not meant to be like, oh my gosh, this guy's hunting us down and constantly defeating us or making the game super hard for us. The idea is just supposed to be that, like, they're affecting the field, and that's exactly what these guys are doing. They're coming on and they're messing with the zones. They're picking up tokens. They're putting them back down. They're putting them in random orders, so you don't know what you're dealing with. With a Crabbot, it says, these amazing automatons are exploited by some of the boss profiles for making scholar studies a real hell. They can also be exploited by scholars using the team versus advanced rules, which is something we'll look at later. When a game effect instructs you to place a Crabbot in a zone, it is placed in the first free information slot inside it. The empty slot furthest to the left. If there are no free slots, it cannot be placed. A Crabbot placed in a zone is considered an information cube and follows the rules, except it cannot be displaced until collected by a scholar. When a Crabbot is collected, it is placed in the reserve. If a Crabbot is to be placed in and then available in the reserve, the active player takes any one of those present in any zone in the dungeon and then places it as indicated. So yeah, you can't ever be like, oh no, we ran out. We don't have to deal with them anymore. They'll just keep getting moved around from somewhere to somewhere else. Yeah, it's very interesting. Alright, so then what we have up next, as long as we're talking about threats of the dungeon, the Dungeonology, I guess, we have our panic cards. We have Earthquake. We've had darkness. We've had fires. Now we've had earthquakes. All the bad stuff happens. We have the boss card. The boss and his card from the game. At the start of each player's turn, those already finished the game included. The current turn must choose one of the two outermost zones in the dungeon and remove the information cubes inside them and turn the zone face down. The scholar turn the zone that has just been flipped over to a stun token and move to an adjacent zone of their choice without activating zone effects. A scholar who, for whatever reason, is not able to move ends his game immediately. A scholar can move through zones, turn face down, and exit in any one direction, but cannot stop inside. So interesting. So it doesn't remove them from the board, it just makes them so there's nothing available on them. They have to still get through them. Exit in any one direction, but cannot stop inside. But they have to be able to move through them. So if they only have 2 movement spaces, they might not be able to move. If they get trapped too far away somewhere, they might not have enough movement spaces to move through them. So that could be very interesting. I can also see it might be like the least panicky one, because it's not like the core set one, Darkness, solely eliminates your cubes and actually really makes it hard to win the game. This is just basically you have to rush back to the exit. We have 2 more for the workshop mode. I'm going to go back over these in a minute. We're going to come back to these after we describe what workshop mode is. Otherwise, I'm explaining a bunch of effects that are going to be mentioned on the card that you won't understand. Alright, so let's look at our clan cards. So we have a bunch of these. These are, again, are all Leonardo and his different stuff. We have his architecture. So these have 2 different things on them that are neat. So up at the top, we have how many points you need to have, plus what star specifically you have to have. You have to have the bronze or the silver green star to be able to complete this. So it's not just about having enough points. You have to have a certain star as well. But if you have the yellow gold star, you get plus 8 points for his architecture. For his painting, has 24. I think all of these are, nope, yes, they're not all 24. But this one, you have to have a green star to complete it. We also have to have the gold star in yellow and pink and purple, but you get 17 extra points. We have music, which has a 24 and has a red star with 16 extra point bonus. Engineering. We have the anatomy. We have the codes, the botany, and the hydraulics. So what's really neat about these, just compared to some of the other ones in the base set, as well as some of the other expansions, is that having to have a specific star then also makes the game a little bit trickier, because it's not just, oh, I have this amount and I have 2 stars quick. I gained 2 really quick in this category. I got lucky and got 2 in this one because I hit this room first or got some lucky, draws and stuff. But then you can also be like, hey, I can also try and focus on getting stars of these other ones to gain a bunch of extra bonus points before I turn in my thesis. So it's like, you might want it kind of helps be like, hey, what do we want to focus on? But then also a reminder, everyone gets to see these, and they can kind of be like, once they see which one it is, they can kind of like everyone going after the same exact thing, which is very interesting. But also, what's neat on this is because there's so many of these, there is one of the other modes you get to play in this game where everyone gets one of their own cards. So that way, each person has an individual different goal. They have the main goal to try and do, but they each have an extra bonus goal they can try and do, which is a really neat idea as well, especially if you start getting a ton of these. And I think that's something you could add in if you have enough of this one or with other expansions, as you could give each person a bonus one and they have a chance to gain extra bonus points if they can complete this as well, which is kind of a neat idea. Alright, so that's those. Let's take a look at our trick deck. So for our trick deck, we have Mechanical. So Mechanical is going to have a couple of new icons on the bottom, which let me find that quick. So the first one is called Castling. So that's the little gear there. Castling says, after you complete a stealth test and have determined whether it's a success or failure, play this to return one card that you played during the stealth test to either generate your stealth value or to modify it via auxiliary effects. Trick cards played activate, and the effects can never be recovered with this effect. Clear hand. Then the chosen card must have a bonus value of white number equal to or less than the end effect. So, if you play, for example, you can retrieve a trick card of a value of 3, 4, or 5, depending on which one you have. This is the way, like, after you're done, after you've succeeded or failed, you can at least have a chance to get one of your cards back. Especially if you failed, it's kind of helpful. You succeed, maybe you might play a high card, your 3, 4, or 5, right away to make sure you succeed if you have a way to get them back. The other one with the lever is called Meshing. This is for workshop mode. I'm going to read it now just so we can see what it does. But it says, play any time during your turn to move a mobile zone you're in up to a choice of either right or left up to the maximum number of steps, equal to the indicated number. So this lets you move a zone around. And we'll get into what exactly these zones are when we get to that part of the video. But yeah, if you're not playing the workshop mode, that lever part can be ignored. Alright, so we have pull a lever. It says, Crike, sacrifice a student or draw one. Displace an information cube from a zone adjacent to the zone you are in. So again, it's all about like moving these cubes around. We have 3 copies of these again. So we have press a button. Pong, draw a number of randomized cards equal to the scholars in the game. Choose one of the drawing cards. The scholar indicated by it discards 1 trick card. You are immune to the effects of this card. The golden buzzer. Bzz. Your scholar in your zone gets a stun token. So you have 3 copies of each of them. Then we have the level 2s, which we have 2 copies of. Pull 2 levers. Crick crack. Displays up to 2 information cubes. We can press 2 buttons. Draw a number of randomized cards. Choose 2 of the chosen cards. Each scholar discards a trick card. For each randomizer card that identifies them. And then we have 2 copies of the alarm system, which is a reaction as well. Wee-oo, wee-oo, wee-oo. Cancel the main or auxiliary effects of a trick card just played unless the scholar who played it sacrifices N students, where N is equal to the number of students you have sacrificed to play this card. And then for level 3, which we only have 1 of each, is we have pull all the levers, crick, crack, clink, displace 3 information cubes, Press all the buttons to choose 3 other players. If you're playing a 4-player game, that's everybody else. And then build a student. Exterminate. Create a intern mech student. And then we're going to get 2 more copies of the forfeit card and 1 more for the 5, which always come with a new set of trick cards. Our brand new intern is the mech student. It says if a scholar in your zone enters your current zone, you must sacrifice one of his students if he owns any. This guy's going to take out your little mechs. Alright. So let's take a look at some of our zones before we jump into the new modes. Do we not have a new starting area? We do not have a general new starting area. Alright, so we have level 1s, which are greens. So these are going to have some new things on there, a new symbol on there. So we know it's the set plus the name. Couple of things we're going to notice in here is every single door has a color border. So you can't move until you get one of these things. There is an exception when we're playing this mode, or playing with these. If we are playing a standard game of Dungeonology, not the workshop mode, usually in our dungeon instead of the fun dungeon during the game step, each scholar receive a passage token. These are passage tokens. Which can be used up on movement. Scholar must move for any reason through a passage that is blocked through the door, including the scholar's starting zone. They must place one of their passage tokens to create a link without a door. By placing it in the zone, they're in the one just placed. Per the standard rules, after done so, the scholar must move to the zone they have placed. Once the scholars run out of passage tokens, they must use the rules of the doors as explained in the base game rules for any further passages. When you rest, a scholar, in addition to normal effects, they can take 1 passage token in reserve, but only if they do not have any. So game has just begun. Tagger spends one of his points, places it and moves it to the new zone. However, he has 2 green doors that block his entry. For a scholar to not have at least 1 civilization token, kind of has 2 passage tokens at his disposal. So, starting from a starting zone here, which is a different thing, or starting zone up here, he has to go in his zone. He has to spend 1 of his passage tokens to get through. But now everyone else can get through as well. So it says, now he only has 1 passage token remaining. He'll need to be careful on how he spends it. Trying to exploit those tokens placed by opponents before being forced to face blocked doors or require entry to obtain rare information cubes. Cool. So that's how you're going to do these. Then we do have some new mechanics on here. So we have, I love the thing in this is the different things have different inventions from Leonardo. So we have this first one here, which is an enter one, which is contraption. Standard game. When a scholar enters a zone, they choose 1 passage token on it for themselves. They can choose 1 of the passage tokens on it for themselves. Workshop, when a scholar enters a zone, they can choose to move the right or left of the mobile zone indicated by the colored triangle on the icon. So they can move their mobile zones around. They can choose 1 passage token on it for themselves. So basically, you enter this mode, you can steal passage tokens to kind of lock stuff off. This is how you can keep them moving around. Kind of like the tokens are always going to get displaced with the bosses and the trick cards. This is also going to let you just move that stuff around us too. The other one we have on there is Genius N. It's a blue one. Scholars in a zone can end their turn, end zone or end turn. Before drawing new trick cards, and draw a number of trick cards equal to the value of this effect. After seeing the cards, decide whether to put them back on the top or bottom of the deck in the order preferred. And then you can draw. So you can look at 2 cards and put them back how you want. For our second zone, again, these ones all have green, so a little bit easier to get through. You have a purple one, and you have a 1 there. Our third one, we have draw some students, divination, discard a trick card, or draw a trick card, and then a boss. For our third zone, We have another genius. We have a new symbol and a boss symbol. So what's the new symbol down there is trapdoor. Scholar Zone can spend 1 speed point during the movement phase to move in a zone already placed zone that shows a trapdoor effect. If he does, he gets a stun token, and his own movement phase ends immediately. So yeah, basically you use trapdoors to drop from one area to another, kind of like through this rotating building, essentially, to get to another area, but you have to take a stun token. And this could be helpful to get around where there's doors that are blocked or you can't get through. We have that one there. It says the red one, and then the last one for level 1. In here is a yellow one. Awesome. Alright, so then for level 2, the silver ones. There's a Mecha Lisa head, doing she's building her. Divination Genius, Trapdoor Boss. Drawing less cards. Trapdoor, blue one, is making his helicopter hat. You can see that's kind of neat. I love the little details. This astrology room. So it has yellows all the way around it. It's just reds and greens. There's making a blimp. Or a submarine. Sorry, he's making a submarine. And we have this one, which is, I love this one, where it has little battlefields on there he's designing. With little miniatures and stuff. Or he may be getting ready to play Nova Yekis. And then we have Stop, and here's one of the Vitruvian Man. He's carving that. Then we have level 3s, which is his personal workshop. So you have a yellow one, you have to discard all guys, and it has a little note. So this says demonstration action. In a standard game, use your action to place a crab bot in a zone of your choice, following the normal rules explained on page 4. Workshop. If you have at least 2 stars, use your action to perform the submit thesis action. So in the workshop mode, this will come up where you have to try and actually finish the game off by finding these zones. So we'll see how that works in a minute. So this one has one of those too. Here's painting his Mona Lisas. Here's his bedroom. And there's that one. Now I just realized, going through, I was talking about all these, and I was like, oh, we have already went through these. I went through some of these in expansion. So let me go through some of these other zone effects that maybe you haven't seen if you haven't seen the other expansions they were in. So the little hand card is Rich Draw or Poor Draw. A scholar who is in a zone during their end turn draws an additional trick card or draws fewer trick cards. Then the other one we have was Hecatomb. Scholar enters the zone, they sacrifice all their students. So that was the 2 other ones. We have the lever again, which we mentioned was on the some of the trick cards. Actually, this is on the trick card. This is on one of the other cards. So we have 4 more tiles here, which are double-sided. They are the mobile zones. So each one's going to be the same. It's going to have a color for one of the different players and have 2 symbols on them. Same artwork on both sides, just different things. They only have 1 exit area on there. And this is for the workshop mode, which is going to be a interesting new game mode you can play. And on there, they have 2 different symbols. So the lever is, during your movement phase, the scholar in the zone may spend N speed points to move the mobile zone, which is already located by N steps to the left or right, or generate an impact. So it's kind of very similar to the one on here, which allows you to also move them if you play your cards. And then the other one is we have the Master Key. The movement of the scholar exiting the zone is not blocked by any doors presented in the zone he wants to enter. So this means if you are playing the workshop mode, you can exit using this Master Key to enter any single area of the game. You don't have to worry about doing that. Alright, so we've looked at everything else, so let's go ahead and look at workshop mode. I think we went through all the other rules. 10 credit intern cards. Da Vinci. Yes, okay. So here we have the workshop mode. In this game, Leonardo will lock the scholars in his workshop filled with pitfalls and mysterious inventions. To escape, scholars will need to collect information to prove they have learned the old master's lessons by submitting research concerning the personal clan card, then revealing the secrets of the clan card placed on the campus board. To play the workshop mode, the complete game set up the following and uses the danger zones as their advanced requirement. So, it mentions the danger zone because if you watch the initial video, the revised rulebook from the Kickstarter, which you can get on the web store app, has modular rules. So you can take out using this stuff on the tiles. When you're playing easier mode, you can get rid of all these tiles and just not have to worry about them. But if you're playing workshop mode, you have to use those. You can opt to not use bosses. You can opt to not use panic cards. You could opt to not use your main trick card effects if you want during this. But you have to use the danger zones because they literally apply to things that are happening. You just have to ignore the ones you're not using. Game change up. So you have to use the mechanical trick cards with this set. The boss rules must be used. Okay, I'm sorry. Yes, you have to use the boss rules. The maximum alert advance rules must be used, and the panic card must be secretly set from the turbo mechanism of self-destruct. So again, I was wrong. My bad. You still have to use all the stuff. So this is basically once you play through, you've advanced the game. The Da Vinci and clan cards use only the Da Vinci and clan cards. During a game setup, you're instructed to select the clan card, draw one face down as usual, and place it on the campus board. Then distribute a concealed personal clan card to each player. Leonardo's Dungeon Zone. Instead of creating a stack of 3 zones described in the base game, follows instruction and setup. You're actually going to set up a map. The starting zone, there is no starting zone. Instead, place the scholar modules in each randomization determining which mobile zone will place the scholar. 2 or more scholars can be placed in the same mobile zone. Special rule: in the game workshop mode, resting, thesis submission, and scoring are different. So we have a mobile zone. So first of all, let's check the map. So you're going to set the map up like this. You're going to take your 4 of your level 3 tiles and put them in the middle. Then you distribute each of the other level 1s and level 2s alternating across the board. Then put your 4 mobile zones on there. And then you're going to randomly place your guys. So if you are playing maybe up to a 6-player game with one of the expansions, you can do that. And then the idea of the game is you're actually going to be moving your mobile zones around the board. And that's going to get you access to different areas, and you can pop back out and move them, or you can move them throughout the game and then have different ways to come back out. So it might be different ways to access different things that are available to you. When playing workshop mode, scholars start the game in one of the zones. Moving the mobile zones, various effects. A certain number of steps. Step is equivalent to moving one mobile zone one direction to decide whether 2 passages are present is completely adjacent to the next zone. Rotation of the zone: when a mobile zone moves past the coordinate with 2 passages must always remain facing the adjacent zone, so rotated must be allowed to do so. Impact: if the movement of the mobile zone brings it adjacent to another mobile zone, it impacts. The rest and submission thesis: when a scholar rests or submits their thesis, randomize and move them directly to the mobile zone indicated by the drawing randomizer card. There are no safe zones. Unlike the base game's starter zone, mobile zone does not protect scholars within it from any effects. You can freely act within it using trick cards, steal cards, and target opponents and bosses as normal. And zone effects: all mobile zones contain a lever and master key zone. So this is then showing how you're flipping your cards over. So whichever direction the top of the D arrow is on the back of a card. So if it's this way, you have to flip it this way. You have to keep it the same direction. You can't, they're not all going to be necessarily up and down. You're going to flip them whatever direction they're laying at. So they're all going to stay the same way. We haven't got to. So here's impact. This is what we're going through. Mobile zones can be moved thanks to various game effects. Impact occurs when a mobile zone moves adjacent to another mobile zone. When this happens, the mobile zone that caused the impact stops. All possible remaining movement is lost. The mobile zone that got hit is impacted moves one step away. If the mobile zone is adjacent to another mobile zone, it can keep causing impacts. So it's saying like right here. So if C moved 2 steps, boom, boom, and instead of going around the corner, it is going to impact this one, and it's going to push it back one. Same thing here. This could go 1, 2 steps here, get around the corner, and it's going to boom into that one and push it up. And when they go around the corner, they're going to rotate so that your arrow side is always facing the map. Yeah, so you could potentially trigger 2 or 3 impacts in a row depending on how stuff is laid. Very cool. Alright, so then we have boss movement. In the workshop, the boss can move over unrevealed zones as if they're revealed. To him, all zones count to space up for the purpose of movement. When a boss moves into an unrevealed zone, it does not reveal it. Rest. When a scholar chooses to rest, they will not be moved to a starting zone, which is not present. Instead, we'll randomize one mobile zone, move directly there, and then we'll rest. So that's the one thing, is that you're not going to know where you're going to get moved at. So like at least with the starting zone, you're getting moved back to the bottom, which could be an advantage if you're trying to get, like, you went left the first time, now you want to go right. Here you might not have an option. Submitting the thesis. In this mode, it is not possible to choose a submit thesis activity. It is only possible to submit a thesis by activating the demonstration zones. We saw those in the level 3 tiles, the gold ones that had the little scroll on there, document. This mode is also necessary to submit 2 theses. The first, personal, to prove the scholar's worth to Leonardo and deliver the personal clan card. The second, to the university at the end of the game. What happens in submitting a thesis differs on whether the first or second one in the process. So what that means is, again, beginning of the game, we're going to randomly select one of these cards. Everyone's going to be trying to go after this one. Then each person's going to get their own personal card. So someone might get a 27, someone might get a 20, which could be very interesting. But then everyone will have to share the final one. When you submit your thesis and your personal card has not been delivered, do the following. Consult your personal clan card. Be careful not to reveal it to other players. Count the points on your noteboard, applying the score modifiers indicated. Now, actually track bonus points from other sources other than the noteboard, such as insert cards or jinx. At this point, one of 2 things happens. You succeed. You have scored equal to or greater than the thesis target on your clan card and reached the colored star indicated on your noteboard. Congratulations, you have shown your worth to Leonardo. Proceed the following events. Reveal your clan card. Everyone plays it face up. So you get to check everything. You're like, hey, I think I've got it. Yep, I've got it. And you can go ahead and do it. Now it's delivered. Take a ranking token based on how many scholars have already revealed your clan. So we got a bunch of ranking tokens in there. So first is 10 points, down to 0 points for the 5th and 6th player. Randomize a mobile zone, move your scholar to it, and your turn ends. If you're a failure, you are a donkey. You have annoyed Leonardo, who immediately flushes you through the hydraulic system of his workshop. Randomize mobile zone, move it there, draw a jinx card, put the information cube with greatest value on your noteboard into the reserve, your turn ends. So very much similar to what happens when you normally submit your thesis. If your personal clan card has been delivered, then consult the clan card file on the campus board, do the exact same thing. Succeed, then you reveal, start doing the end, working towards the end game. And then failure, jinx card, discard a cube. So you have to do your own personal one first, and then you have to do the second one. I'm going to say, I don't think there's any reason why you couldn't, if you wanted to add this into a normal game, if you wanted to lengthen the regular game a little bit. Definitely a possibility. For game scoring, any scholar who has managed to successfully go over their personal card and their thesis or their clan are eligible to win the game. All other scholars who have not successfully both have lost the game regardless of their accumulated points. If no one was able to submit your thesis concerning the clan card placed on the campus board during the game, Leonardo is still somewhat satisfied. Those who did your personal clan have been delivered to be able to participate in scoring. So you don't want to necessarily wait until you have both do it. As soon as you have your personal one done, go turn it in. There's no reason not to. Turn it in as soon as you can, getting some bonus points, then work on the rest of it. Once you've assured someone to win the game, each eligible player participates, adds up all their points. You go other different stuff, you add your other points. All those, find your ranking. In case of a tie, players with the lowest ranking token wins. So yeah, very, very much cool. So basically, just at the end, you'll just have that extra bonus set of points to add into it. So yeah, you apply your score modifiers on your personal clan card, then the campus clan card, then add your extra bonus points. So very cool. So that's all our different mechanics for the game. We did not look at our last 2 panic cards yet, so let's look at those before I go any further, before I forget. So we have Turbo Mecha Lisa. Mecha Lisa turns on the turbo and hits anyone who stands in our way. Remove the boss and the card from the game. All scholars in the mobile zones immediately leave them by entering the adjacent zones. The scholars can no longer enter mobile zones. At the start of each player's turn, those who already finished the game included if the model of Mecha Lisa is not in a mobile zone. The current turn, the player randomizes in turn and places Mecha Lisa in the indicated zone, then moves to that mobile zone left or right until it causes an impact. At this point, move Mecha Lisa in a straight line until she reaches a dungeon edge map, removing all cubes from the zones she passes through or into. When Mecha Lisa enters a zone containing a scholar, each of them gets a stun token. If a scholar has a number of stun tokens to stamina, they end the game of their current turn. The model Mecha Lisa is not in a mobile zone. The current turn, the player randomizes in turn, places a Mecha Lisa in an indicated zone. So what could happen is she could zoom across and end up in a mobile zone, and then the mobile zone will move around the board, and she could end up getting shot out somewhere else. And this is to prevent her from just going. She might just run back and forth over one area until she gets moved somewhere else. So yeah, she's gonna move in a straight line until she reaches the edge map, and then she'll boom. But then she might end up on a mobile zone. Then the mobile zones will move at the beginning of the turn, and she could end up somewhere else. But that's kind of neat. She eliminates everything. The other one is self-destruct. Leonardo loses her temper and activates the self-destruction of the laboratory. Move the boss and all cards from the game. All scholars in mobile zones immediately leave them. Can no longer enter mobile zones. At the start of each player's turn, draw a single card from the randomizer deck, remove it from the game. Place in reserve. If a card drawn identifies a mobile zone, the player moves that zone towards the left or right until it causes an impact. At this point, flip the connected zone face down, place a wall token on it, then remove the mobile zone you just moved from the game. Scholars who are inside the zone you flip, get a stun token and move to the adjacent zone. Scholar cannot move because the door ends his game immediately. It is not possible to enter a face-down zone with a wall token on it. The game ends immediately when the last mobile zone is removed. So you have four turns possibly, although you could end up with getting the same randomization over and over. This is going to go around. It's going to show that it's destroyed by place a wall token on and remove their mobile zone from the game. Interesting. So yeah, kind of like we had the earthquake, we're going to slowly eliminate stuff. This is going to do it in a different route. Alright, so then the last thing we want to look over, and I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this, is we have two extra modes you can play. We have Team Versus. So using these rules, players can swap into teams to face each other during their exploration of the dungeon. Support of the new companions, they're able to develop group tactics, make the most of the unique specialties of the scholar. Team Versus can be played in any game regardless of the dungeon. To do this, the workshop mode, special rules are indicated. So yeah, this is adding an extra team mode. Again, this is available on the Ludus Magnus Studios. I can find the end of the book. On their web app, you can go to their studio, you can find their web app, you can download the book if you want these rules. I'm not going to, get into too much of all of this, but it is neat that we have a turn mode, or a team mode. Must usually sports scholars, but can accommodate as many as 6 if you go the Aramis expansion. 2 different teams, no maximum alert is used in here. So players playing trick cards can decide whether or not they affect scholars of their own team. Stealth works the same. It's that players will need to try and positively modify the skill button instead of raising the alert zone. This you don't have to, but it'd be kind of a dick move to do to your team. So there's like one big new rule here is the exalted and close-knit teams. When using team rules, scholars have an incentive to become supportive in different ways in a standard game. Exalted teams. Scholars become exalted as a team rather than individually. When one scholar of a team enters a star, earns a star, calculate the total stars owned by the entire team, all other teams. The scholar of the teams that have the fewer than the highest combined become exalted. So if you have 3 teams, you're playing a 6-player game, you have 3 separate teams of 2. If one team has 2 stars and each other team only has 1, the other 2 teams become exalted because it's as soon as they both have it. And then if one of those teams gets 1 star, now they're tied with the other team, so then they go back to normal. And we also have close-knit teams. When one or more teams are exalted, the other teams become close-knit. A close-knit team works together extremely well. Each scholar on a close-knit team contains the following ability. At the beginning of the turn, scholars can displace information cubes from the note board to any that have any other scholar on the team, even one in another zone. When a scholar collects information cubes, they have placed them on their board, they may distribute them among other boards. So it's kind of neat. So like again, one team hits 2 stars, everyone else becomes exalted. They get extra abilities on their cards. The team that didn't get the ability to basically transfer cubes to each other. That's the only extra benefit they have, just so that they're not getting fully left behind. Knowledge token may not reveal the contents to their teammates unless they have also earned a knowledge token, so you can't cheat your way through that. The first thesis submitted, but continues for all scholars who have not yet submitted a thesis. Each turn, submit a thesis, takes no measures going from reserve, if none. That's basically all played the same way. Scoring is basically done normally. Only scholars who successfully submitted their thesis may participate. Any team which does not have a scholar has lost, regardless of points accumulated. However, if no scholar is able to successfully submit their thesis during the game, all scholars then be participated in the scoring process. And then lots of that's basically the same. And you can look at some of the other stuff there. Which are cool. Again, I don't want to get too much in that. Some little minor details. You'd also play workshop mode. So this is basically the same idea, using team versus, using the workshop. So lots of stuff is a same thing. So additionally, displaying the knowledge tokens, scholars cannot reveal the contents of their personal clan unless successfully delivered. None of the scholars obtain knowledge token in addition to be expected can also expect the personal clan cards of all their teammates. End of the game, just a couple of things change. Nothing too much different there. Game scoring. But yeah, you're basically just playing the same game, but now you're playing it in the workshops. Now you have that personal clan card added in there as well. So yeah, that's what we have for Leonardo's workshop. So yeah, very interesting. If you want to have, you want to pick up, you have a new scholar to play as. You have some new clan cards if you want a little bit different there, a new trick deck, some new bosses you can kind of play with, which could be interesting. The new zones. Now, question of course is, could you use these zones in other games? Could you replace, tile set 1 with tile set 1 from the base game? I don't see any reason why you couldn't. It's just you have to include that passage rule token in there. Could you do the workshop mode with other tiles? Let's say if I wanted to take some of these and swap these out, or if I wanted to use the workshop tiles or mix and match some of these with other stuff and use workshop with other tiles or stuff from some of the other expansions, you probably could. Again, there might be some things that come up. They aren't going to work exactly because the original ones have stairs. Stuff from Cersei's Bay uses portals to move around to different levels. So some of it you might just have to home rule your own little rules for each different thing that comes up, because it's not just going to be this is going to work. Because if you have a stairway, regardless of stairways, and you're playing workshop mode, you're just going to ignore it. If you have portals. But yeah, some of them might be interesting, having the portals or the things for the doorways. Or how would the stairs work if you're mixing in the doorway things? You could just be like, well, you just pick a thing just like you would any other thing, or creating pathways and stuff like that. You just, again, might have to play around with it. But yeah, some definitely neat stuff in here. Very cool. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Check out the rest of the Dungeonology stuff. See you guys later. Bye.